I can't support Donald Trump anymore. Look, I'm a moderate, because if common ground is found, it's a lot easier to function as a society. But it's very hard to find common ground nowadays. And I have a lot of liberal views, like about the environment, animals, social rights. But I also have a lot of conservative views. I believe in God and the sanctity of the family. And I feel like now I have to take a step away from politics in my content. You see, YouTube is not my main platform. On TikTok, where I have 33,000 followers, that's where I post daily. You see, all over social media, people get very toxic over politics. And it is so much hate, and I think it's really sad that I have been part of that. So now, I would like to focus on more what I like, which is movies and series and that kind of entertainment. And that actually makes people happy instead of all this politics stuff, which is really depressing at the end of the day. And now, with the more moderate David Ellison, who says that he's neither conservative or liberal. If you don't know who he is, he's the CEO of Paramount Skydance. And soon, he'll probably be the owner of Warner Brothers as well. Maybe I'll have a shot as a director in Hollywood one day, since usually when you aren't a liberal, you're not really welcome into that circle. Anyways, back to Trump. This war with Iran is, and I'll quote Trump, a big fat mistake. Trump was the guy who was against foreign wars and the deep state. And right now, he's breaking that promise to fight them. He is the one who said that the war in Iraq was based on a lie, and that Bush lied about Iraq having weapons of mass destruction.
You do whatever you want, you call it whatever you want. I want to tell you, they lied.
Okay.
They said there were weapons of mass destruction, there were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass destruction.
Which is true, they lied. But now, Trump wants us to believe that Iran was this close to a nuclear weapon. I mean, never mind that Benjamin Netanyahu have been saying that Iran has been this close to a nuclear weapon since the 90s. And then we have the whole Venezuela situation, and Trump was pretty honest there. He said it was about the oil. You know, at least he was honest. They kidnapped the president, and then they took control over the oil. Which is, again, what he campaigned against. And now with the blockade over Cuba, it just feels like something dark has gotten control over President Trump. Because when I look at 2025, he stopped the India and Pakistan conflict, which could have gone nuclear. He ended the Azerbaijan and Armenian war, the Congo and Rwanda war, the Thailand and Cambodia war, and the ceasefire in Gaza, which Israel broke a lot of times, but at least there's not an open, ongoing conflict as we speak. They're not carpet bombing daily like they used to, but they're still doing horrible things to the Palestinians, that's true. And then 2026 comes, and Trump decides to do what? Oh yeah, create the Board of Peace, who after a few months decided they were bored of peace and wanted to attack Iran. And then, of course, getting the lovely FIFA Peace Prize and the stolen Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, a lot of Peace Prize going around. And now I'm not even mentioning the crisis in Cuba, which is obviously also a disaster, thanks to America's blockade. So I believe that, some sort of dark entity might have corrupted Trump. I don't know who or what that is. Maybe it's Ted Cruz, maybe it's Lindsey Graham, maybe it's a demon, I don't know. But this doesn't seem like him, because he never did anything like this during his first term. That was some of the most peaceful years. No foreign wars, the Abraham Accords, one of the best things he's ever done. But now, bombing Iran, and almost 2,000 Iranian civilians are dead. It hasn't even been 2 months of war yet. Look at the Russia-Ukraine war. It's been going on for 4 years. And it is some of the most intense combat happening in the world. And with more drones and missiles being used than ever. And right now, the civilian death count stands at 15,000, which is horrible. But then compare that to the Iran war, which has been going on for just over a month, and already 2,000 Iranian civilians are dead, and 1,200 Lebanese civilians. Everything that is happening here is what Trump campaigned against. And then, of course, his tweets. I'm not a big fan of his tweets at all. But I mean, now, seriously, celebrating the deaths of people who disagreed with him, and I can't and I will not support this. So, fuck politics, no to war, and free Palestine. That's all I would say at this point. And I will be focusing on more movies and series and that kind of entertainment industry in the future, because this whole politics nonsense is really, it's pissing me off, and I don't really want to talk about it anymore, because it's nonsense. It's just a cycle. Same people get in charge, they do the same things, they murder people, and fuck it, basically. But like they say, what comes around goes around. Anyways, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. What are your thoughts about this? Subscribe and follow for more.